This is just really part of the creational process. This is the power. This is non-circumstantial power.
Today's episode of Soul Care Secrets is brought to you by Held, the ritual that feels like a warm hug, helping you de-stress and soften into you. Whether you're navigating a tough day or simply need a space to recharge, this ritual and somatic ceremony will leave you feeling more grounded, open, and deeply connected to yourself. Held invites you to soften into yourself, utilizing pleasure, and return home with a calmer nervous system and a lighter heart. It's time to let yourself be held, angel. Click the link in the description and melt the stress away.
Stoking the fire of your life is one of the most important things you can do. And when you don't do it, that's when you really start to notice the detrimental effects on your life. So this is where you start to feel like you have no zest for life, no fire for life. The things that used to light you up are no longer giving you that spark, that joy. And maybe you're really in that space where you're just like in the thick of it. You're in the middle. You've started a new relationship and now the honeymoon phase is gone. Or you've been working on a project and that new startup energy is gone. And you're in the middle just like, okay, like I know that I love this human or I know that I love this project. Why is there no energy here? That's what we are talking about today. That's what we were talking about today. And the very first thing that I want you to reflect on right now is that 2025 activation transmission that I did at the beginning of the new year. And I told you to listen to that multiple times throughout the year. Any time that you are needing that extra spark, that extra fire, that extra oomph to create some momentum in your life, some excitement in your life, go listen to that. And now we are in the moment in time, right? We're a little over a month into the new year. And where's your energy at? Is it still the same as it was at the very beginning of the year? Or has it shifted? Is there less excitement? Is there less fire? Because either you've been creating more and more momentum throughout the past month and you are in it, everything is flying high, you are great, I love that. Or maybe something happened. Like for me, I got really sick last week and it definitely took a toll on my momentum, my energy, my excitement. And that's really what has inspired this episode is because it's okay, life gave me some cards. They were challenging to handle. And how am I going to relate to it? What am I going to do next? What is my next action step? And this is a conversation that I've also had with clients and friends where they were feeling all of this zest, excitement, momentum, and then boom, right? The challenge comes in. Something sort of steers you off course or makes it seem like, can I actually do this? Is this really worth it? And if you're in that headspace at all, like this is what we are doing here together, is we are coming back to the fire. And one of my favorite metaphors to really speak about the fire of our life, the fire of our soul, is an actual fire. So if you have ever tended to a fire, then this is going to make perfect sense. And if you haven't, that's okay. Just follow me with this. So I love keeping fires. And over the past few years, I've been just so blessed, so lucky where I get to make fires. And most recently, when I was at my sister's house for the holidays, we were building fires. And this just came so strongly to me, this reminder that building the fire of our life is the same as building a fire in our physical lives. And what do I mean by this? If you've ever built a fire, it takes some energy. It takes some, you gotta put in the energy into it. You've got to go collect the logs. You've got to stack the logs in the proper way. You've got to have the kindling and the fire starter so that way your fire can start to grow. You've got to breathe on it. You've got to give it that air, that life force. And then once your fire gets going, you've got to maintain it. So it's not just starting the fire. It's also maintaining it once the fire has been started. And so at first the fire is going to just like keep on going along. Once you get it started, it's going to be doing its thing. It's fiery, it's happy, you're in it. And then you need to add more logs to it. You need to stoke it. You need to kind of move things around. You need to add more air to it. You need to shift it. Like there's something that you need to do in order to keep the fire alive. And that's the thing. It's its own entity. It has its own cycle to it. And you need to keep it alive. You need to be feeding it. And it's the very same thing for our lives. If you don't feed that fire, if you are not adding more logs into your fire, if you're not rearranging how those logs are stacked, then your fire is going to go out. Your fire is going to get cold. And once it's cold and it's out, it's a whole lot harder to start again than it is to just maintain a fire that's already going. We know this. It's a lot more energy to do that. And so that's why it's so important that we continually feed our fires, because once your fire is roaring and it's started, you think it's going to last that way and it's going to stay that way. And maybe for a while it really does. And then, as I said, you kind of get into the middle of the process. You're past the honeymoon phase of the relationship or the project, and you're in it, and some challenges have come. It doesn't seem to be going how you thought it was going to go. That's when you start to lose some of that fire, and that's when it's most important to be really intentional about maintaining that fire. And this is just really part of the creational process. I've seen this years and years and years now, the cycle of this, where it's just a normal part. It's very easy at the beginning. During the middle, it's kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? What's happening? Like, I don't know. And then you get to the end, you're like, wow, yeah, like I completed this. This is amazing. Or like that fire's back or whatever it is. But that middle process of the doubt, the confusion, the lack of momentum, the challenge comes in, whatever it is, like that's where you really get to see your power. Because it's so easy to be in your power and things are going really well and you're in that flow, you're in the momentum. And can you choose to be in your power when things get tough, when things get more challenging? And can you ask yourself that question? What would the most powerful version of myself do right now in this moment? How would she respond to this situation? What would she think about this situation? What actions would she take in this situation? And you use that question as a marker to bring you back and to start feeding yourself again, to remind yourself of your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you in this relationship or in this project? And what can you do in your artistry, in your mastery, to bring more fire and more zest, to add more turn on back into the relationship, to add more turn on back into the project that you're working on? And the more you can do this and the more you build this muscle, this is, I really believe, one of the most important skills we can cultivate within ourselves, because this is really the resiliency. This is the power. This is non-circumstantial power. This is anything can happen around you and you still choose to show up fully and powerfully and excitedly in your life. And so, yeah, there might be a day or two or a couple of days where you're not feeling that. And that's okay. Sometimes, right, you need the rest, you need the pause, you need the break, you need the confusion to come back, to have the contrast into more clarity, into more alignment, into more fire. So, right, that's a part of it. And the more you do this and really are in that head space and that heart space within yourself of knowing your power, of choosing to figure out like what are the ways to make this work, to not give up, to get really creative. Like this is where you get to get so creative, which is really fun. You get to use that creative aspect of your mind and your heart to see new opportunities, to create new opportunities for yourself. So right now, if you're in that space where some of the fire has started to go out, it's starting to feel cold, there's not as much light there in your experience. I just want you to know, like, this is such a normal part of the process, of the journey. This happens to all of us at some point or another, and that's okay. The question is, who are you going to be in relationship to this experience? Are you going to just collapse in the pity party, woe is me, I can't do this, like I'm done, I'm just tapping out? Or are you going to rise up and get bigger and say, okay, I can do this. We're going to figure this out. Like, help me, show me the way. Let's go. I'm going to be here non-circumstantially in my power. I'm going to show up bigger than I ever thought I could show up. I'm going to prove to myself what I'm capable of. And when that becomes your driving force and that switches the context of everything that you're doing and how you're relating to it, you start to really break these patterns and create a new reality for yourself. And it's one that's a lot more fulfilling and a lot more fun. So go today. Take some action to feed your fire, to maintain your fire, to strengthen your fire, to show up fully in your life, and to know that no matter what challenge has come through, you can do it. You are doing it. And everything gets to change in this moment, right? Every breath is a new year. Every breath is a new year, and you create the momentum of your life. So go listen to some of those powerful transmissions from the beginning of the year. Go let this juice you up. I know it's juicing me up. And Yeah, we've got some very exciting things coming soon, some new courses on menstrual cycle alignment, non-hormonal birth control, power language. So I'm deep in the creative vortex of that and really excited to share it with you all because it is going to just support you so deeply in being more connected to yourself and your body and the rhythms of life. So stay tuned for those, and I'm sending you all a giant hug. Oh, as well, be sure to comment. Be sure to comment and share with me, what action are you taking today? And as always, expand it into your field, into your community. Ask your friends, your partner, how are they feeding their fire today? What actions are they taking? And be in that field together, be in that amplified field together, support each other. It's so much more fun, it's so much more nourishing, and that's really what I believe we are here for. Okay, ciao, ciao.